Hi everyone, and welcome to our final episode of this unit for Mrs. Ross Does Math. Today's topic is order of operations. This is the end of Unit 2, and our focus today is AKA GEMDAS, order of operations. Let's get this started. So to begin with, we have how can I find the value of expressions using order of operations, okay? So order of operations is something that you'll hear me say very, very frequently throughout the following units that we have, and specifically the acronym GEMDAS. Now, GEMDAS you may have also heard as PEMDAS, but I use GEMDAS, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Our essential question for today, once again, is how can I find the value of expressions using order of operations? Let's get this started. One of the key words that we have to start us off today is order of operations, okay? And I would like you to please write this down. Now, order of operations is a series of rules that should be followed when evaluating an expression in one or more operation. Now, an operation in math is going to be grouping, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That is GEMDAS. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight my order of operations and a series of rules that should be followed. Okay? One of the reasons why we want to follow these series of rules is because in math there are specific ways in which we have to combine numbers together within an expression. An expression is simply an equation without the equal sign. Okay, it's something that we're simplifying. And in this unit, we are going to be, in this lesson, we are going to be simplifying expressions and finding the answers to them, okay? Now, what I'm going to show you next is a little bit weird. I call it the GEMDAS hopscotch, and I actually have to rotate my paper, and I would suggest you do as well. What I would like you to do is literally draw a hopscotch diagram, okay? So we're going to start out with one box here, followed by another box, and then we're going to have a double and another double. So it's hop, hop, double, double, okay? Now our first single leg hop is going to be grouping. Now, over the years, you guys have heard, my O looks like an A right here. Sorry about that. Over the years, you guys have learned about parentheses symbols, this typical symbol that you'll see up here. One of the great things about getting older is that in math, you're no longer just going to see parentheses. You will also see brackets, and those are these here. Sorry, my finger's covering it up. Those are these here, okay? Now, those brackets are used when we have more than one group of parentheses. So when we're doing our grouping and we have these brackets, the brackets will typically be on the outside, whereas these parentheses will be on the inside, and we will work our way in. The next rule is to look and solve for your exponents. So in our previous lesson, we learned that this E would be our base and this 2 is our exponent, meaning that we would have 2 E's in this case. So once we look for grouping and we start solving our grouping, we are going to then move into our exponents and see if that's there. Our first split leg double scotch is going to be the multiplication and division. So multiplication you'll see as this dot, or you'll see as a grouping of parentheses. You will no longer see multiplication as an X. Multiplication is no longer an X. An X is a variable, and it is the loneliest variable, and we will be talking about those in our next unit. You will also see division here. Now, one other type of division that you will see is fraction-based division. So you'll see it as one number over another number. So these are the two different types of division that you will see. Now, the one thing with multiplication and division is that we have to go left to right. So if our multiplication is first, then we would start there. But if our division is first and we have multiplication second in our problem, we have to do the division before the multiplication. So once again, our multiplication goes left to right. So it's either or, whichever one comes first is what we have to do. And lastly, we have our addition and our subtraction. Now the same rules with going left to right apply to our addition and subtraction. If I have subtraction first instead of addition, I have to do that subtraction before I can do my addition. And we are going to do several different practice problems that highlight some of those irregularities or things that are a little bit funky about order of operations. Okay? So it's not that we have to do addition before subtraction, it's that we have to do whichever one comes first. So once again, this is called the GEMDAS hopscotch. Okay. Now we have an example that we are going to go ahead and do together, and that is this here. I am going to ask you to work with me on finding the value of this particular expression. And again, I'm calling it an expression because an expression doesn't have an equal sign. And I put over on the side our little acronym of our GEMDAS hopscotch. This one's just not as pretty. But we're going to start out by looking at our grouping symbols, then see if we have any multiplication, then see if we have any exponents, then see if we have any multiplication or division that go left to right, and any addition or subtraction that goes left to right. Okay? So we are finding the value of 27 minus parentheses 1 plus 3 squared divided by 2. It's a pretty difficult problem, but I know that we can do it together. Here we go. So starting out, we're going to begin by looking at our G. Do I have any grouping symbols in this particular problem? And I do. Okay. My grouping symbols are right here. It's the 1 plus 3. So I'm going to combine those two numbers to start. 1 plus 3 is 4. So I'm going to go 4. I'm going to keep it in my parentheses and put the squared around it. I'm going to bring down the divided by 2. And now I'm going to bring down the 27 and the minus. So I am simplifying my equation, or in this case, sorry, my expression, as we go through and identify each piece. Next, we have exponents. We have exponents in this problem, and that is right here, 4 squared. Now that squared means that I have 4 2 times. So I'm going to go 4 times 4, which is going to give us 16. So I'm going to write 27 minus 16 divided by 2. Now we're going to look at our multiplication and division. We don't have any multiplication in this problem, but we do have some division. So let's go ahead and divide. We have that right here. And I'm going to go 16 divided by 2, which is 8. Very good. I'm going to get 27 minus 8. That leaves me to our final piece. We don't have any addition, but we do have some subtraction. And 27 minus 8 is going to be 19. So our final answer for this problem is 19. Now, as we go through each one of the next several problems, I'm making these difficult because I want you to be prepared for your assignment and have more difficult practice problems than you do on your assignment, because I want you to be prepared and I want to see if there are any potential roadblocks that we might hit along the way. Okay, here we go. So these are our two practice problems, all right? And I would like you to please write the G, the E, the M and the D, the A and the S on the side of each problem. So G, E, M and D, A and S. All right, let's do this together. Practice problem number 1. I have 7 parentheses, negative 2 plus 5, squared, plus 1. Let's start off with our G. Do we have any grouping symbols in this particular equation? We don't. Or sorry, we do. My bad. We do. And that is right here. We're going to go negative 2 plus 5 first. Okay, and negative 2 plus 5 happens to be 3. So I'm going to have 7 parentheses, 3 squared plus 1. I'm reducing my expression one piece at a time. Next, we're going to take a look at our exponents. Do we have any in this problem? We do. And that is right here with our 3 squared. Now 3 squared tells us that we're going to have this 3 2 times. So I'm going to go 3 times 3, which is 9. I'm going to have the 7 on the front. I'm still leaving this inside parentheses. And now I get to add the 1 on the end. Now I have multiplication and I have addition. So let's do our multiplication first. 7 times 9, 63. So we get 63 plus 1, and then that's going to give us 64. So our final answer is 64. All right, now lastly, taking a look here. I have 12 plus negative 30 minus 10 over 2 squared. Here we go. So in this particular problem, do we have any grouping symbols? No, we don't. Do we have any exponents? Yes, we do. We have them right here with our 2 squared. So now I have 12 plus negative 30 minus 10 over 2 squared. And we need to figure out what that 2 squared is. Now 2 squared means I'm going to have 2 times. So 2 times 2 would give me 4. So I'm going to have 12 plus negative 30 minus 10 over 4. Now, we need to look at our multiplication or division. In this particular problem, we do have division here. It's negative 30 minus 10 over 4. But negative 30 minus 10, we have to figure out what that is before we can divide it by anything. So we actually have a set of grouping symbols here, but it's like one of those unforeseen groupings because this is locked in a little numbers jail until we combine it, okay? So we're going to go negative 30 minus 10, which is going to give us negative 40. So we're going to have 12 plus negative 40 divided by 4. What is negative 40 divided by 4? Because now we actually get to do our division. Negative 30 divided by 4 is negative 10. Awesome. And we're going to have 12 plus negative 10. Here, it's an addition. We don't have our subtraction. Our final answer would be 2. So we'd get 12 plus negative 10 is going to give us 2. All right, now, in your assignment, you are going to be working on a worksheet. It is available in Canvas. Please reach out to me with any questions that you have. This will be a writable PDF in Canvas for you to access. Please show me as much work as humanly possible. And we're starting to get to a point where you're going to need to figure out how to get Canvas on your cell phones or on being able to take a successful picture with your computers, because you're going to really need to get into the practice of starting to show your work, or at least do your work on a separate sheet of paper and then post your answers in Canvas. Because we're getting to a point where you're going to have some extra steps that you're going to need to take in order to solve a problem. And that's really going to be the only way for you to be able to find out what the true answer is. Okay. Now, as always, if you need anything at all, please reach out to me and let me know. Thank you so very much for watching. This has been Mrs. Ross Does Math.